Good morning. My name is Dean Weaver, and I'm here this morning to talk about the real estate market, the interest rates, and the impact on both sellers and buyers. I'm coming to you from Melrose, Florida, also known as the Lake area, and it is probably a typical Florida market here. When we talk about the real estate market, we need to bring in just a little bit of history. And if you'll look at the chart that you see in front of you, on the left side it indicates interest rates. Across the bottom it talks about time. This particular chart starts in 1970 and goes to 2022, where we're at now. The reason I can talk about this is I started my real estate career in 1980. And in 1981, interest rates rose from 7.5% to, in the state of Florida, 17.5%. And it quit there because we had a law that said when you buy a house and you live in it, the maximum rate for homestead property was 17.5%. Today, when we look at buyers, a lot of our first-time buyers were probably born in 1985. They have never seen an interest rate more than 5%. Not during the time that they were probably old enough and financially able to purchase a house. This next chart you see talks about interest rates since January of last year to today. The beginning of this year, interest rates were at just over 3%. 3.25%, and you can see that by the graph that you see in front of you. The interest rate in the last 6 months has increased to over 6%. And that may sound like a huge number, may not sound like a large number, but what it means to you is if you're buying a $200,000 house, in January of this year, you would have spent about $898 per month to pay for the principal and interest on that house. Today, you're going to pay $1,199.10 for that. That's an increase of just over $200. If you say, well, I wouldn't have bought a $200,000 house, I probably would have tried to keep my payments lower than that. A $150,000 house, those payments would have been $673. Today, that payment's $899. These numbers, although they have gone up $200, are still cheaper than renting most homes in this area. Whenever we have changes in the market due to interest rates, it's going to affect the sellers. And that is what I would primarily like to talk about. And in real estate, we have three types of real estate market. We have a market that is increasing. And when we have a market that is increasing, there are some signs. And I'll go over those in just a moment. We also have a flat market. That's a market where the supply and demand are somewhat in check. And then the last market we have is a buyer's market where there are more homes for sale than there are properties available. For the past at least 1 year, we have been in what is known as a seller's market. And a seller's market means there are less properties available than there are buyers. The reason for that was quite simple. You had a tremendous number of buyers that looked at low interest rates and saw that if they had credit, they could buy a home for much less than they could rent the home. All of us are really buying a home, it's just who we're buying it from. If you're renting a home, you're buying the house for the landlord. He owns the property. If you're the property owner, you're buying the home for yourself and you're building the equity in it. So to determine what type market it is, we have to look at it. And this graph you see in front of you is nothing more than a pendulum like you'd find in a grandfather clock. And that pendulum is always swinging. If it swings over to the far left, it's a buyer's market. A buyer's market is you have a lot of homes for sale. They stay on the market a long time. You have very few offers, and the offers you do get are probably low. The opposite of that, if this pendulum swings all the way over to the right, we're in a seller's market. That's the market that most of you have experienced over the last year. There's low inventory. Homes are on the market for a very short time. You look on the MLS and you see a house that's for sale. You call your real estate professional. You set up an appointment to see it. This is all done in one day. And until you get there, you find out there's already 3 or 4 other offers on it and you're in a bidding war. We call that multiple offers. And in a seller's market, homes sell for more than list price. In fact, we came up with clauses to put in contracts that said you would beat the price no matter what it was by $100 or $1,000. It was called an escalatory clause. So for sellers, the purpose of this video is to help you price your home. When we take that chart that you had with the pendulum and we turn it over, it shows us how to price in the different markets. It's not a guessing game, it's somewhat scientific. As we leave the market we've been in, a seller's market, and we go to a buyer's market, we have to price properties differently. In that seller's market, we looked at what was on the market, what was selling, and we went 5 to 10% above. So every time we looked at a home in a different month, the appreciation, we were adding 5%, adding 10%. The buyers were there, they needed a house, and they were willing to pay it. Because it was happening all over, it wasn't a single case. Appraisers had comparable sales to justify that price. As we start to go to a flat market, then we want to price our product just a little under the competition. We want to be, if you would, the least expensive for what we have. And that way we know we'll have markets. When we approach a buyer's market, which is where I think we are right now, and you're a seller, you want to price your house just slightly below the last sale. That way your house is going to stay on the market shorter time than the other properties, and you'll get all the buyers. I know you're going to have questions. This is not something that you can be discussed in a 2-minute video or a 3-minute video. So I would suggest, if you're a seller, that you call your real estate broker or real estate advisor. We're here to help you. We're here to help you look at the market, because the market in Melrose, Florida and the market in Jacksonville, Florida are different. The market in North Carolina is much different than the market in Florida. Right now, the market in California is different than the market in Florida. So remember, real estate is not a United States-wide issue. It varies from state to state. It also varies from location to location. Once again, if I can ever be of assistance to you, my name was Dean Weaver, and I can be reached at CB Isaac Realty in Melrose, Florida. Thank you for your time.